Well, it seems like you're back for more on our OpsCore series. Today we'll be taking a look at the OpsCore amp headsets and its comm capabilities. And these headsets really do damn near everything perfectly. Let me show you. Let's get started. So as a reminder, this is actually the third part in our OpsCore series, and I'll put a link up here to all the other previous videos that we've already done. Last month, we had the OpsCore SOTR mask, where we talked about that setup and the filters, and then the previous month, we did the OpsCore Mark 1 and step-in visor. And then today, we'll do the OpsCore amps, and then in that final video, we'll wrap everything up and connect up all the comms, optics, and all our other doodads into the helmet to show how it all connects together, like adding amps to the headset with the rail arms. And again, the whole point of this series is to show some of that higher tier of gear available to you, so then you as the consumer can make the most educated purchase and kind of find that sweet spot for budget and whatever your mission requirements are. And I really think the amp headset focuses on the civilian that doesn't exactly know where their kit is going to end up in the future, as it can function as a top-tier indoor and outdoor headset, or evolve with you into a team-based comms helmet and night vision setup. And I'll go over all that, but we have a lot to cover. First though, let's go over what OpsCore designed the amps to do. And the overall build mantra mirrors what we spoke about in the past, where it focuses on enhancing that mission capability while also mitigating or removing all those secondary threats. So it's not just about being the guy who goes home to his family on the weekend. It's about having the equipment to safely make it to retirement, and then retire and actually have functional vision and hearing and lungs that aren't full of cancer. And if you've ever visited a VA office, you know that's not how the story ends for some folks. So it's awesome to see this focus on the user over the long term, and not just that one singular mission. And OpsCore in the design stages, they started to look at why folks didn't really wear hearing protection when they probably should. And they found the reason for this is because most users felt the headsets themselves degraded situational awareness. The users themselves couldn't hear as well, or the sound was like Skynet taking over the planet.
Honey? What's a T-1000 and why does he keep saying he wants to kill me?
And just as some history or some general gee whiz, OpsCore worked to solve this issue in a few different ways. The first one is simple. One, having a better overall sounding headset. We've all grown up with some pretty high-end tech for headsets that have kind of become the norm for like music and gaming. And stupidly overpriced DJ studio headsets were the rage for quite some time. But a lot of the legacy headsets didn't have a lot of the sound quality that like my kids have when they play PlayStation. So OpsCore really focused around that sound quality in the design. The next big one OpsCore focused on was being able to localize the sound when wearing the headset. Now, if you've used some of those cheaper headsets compared to the ones where you have directional sound, you really realize how much you lose in terms of situational awareness when you can't tell where the sound's coming from. It's like taking away all the audio depth. Yeah, the sound is there, but you have no idea where it's coming from. And with high-end headsets, knowing where the sound's coming from, along with that step up in sound quality, really takes things up a notch, particularly over some of those doo-doo bubble headsets. And the last bit of design OpsCore focused on was to enhance your hearing to boost natural sound up to plus 12 decibels. This gives you the ability to hear things further away, or hell, hear folks talking on the other side of a doorway, or just hear the range officer clear at the range. So when you combine all these things together, you have this headset that focuses around high quality sound that you can pinpoint in any direction, and then can also boost the ambient sound to give you heightened hearing acuity. And we talked about this in the past when we did our Sword review, that when those things are done right, it can really give you some superhuman level hearing, and that's extremely valuable in a tactical or hunting situation. And it should say something that US SOCOM was the early adopters of the AMP headsets, and the OpsCore amps beat out all the other competitors during the Castle selection program. So me saying they're any good may be a little bit stupid, but there's a ton of technical stuff that I want to dig into anyway. The first thing I want to go over though is all the different buying options. There's a lot of different options you can pick from, and I want you to avoid some potential landmines. Starting from the down lead options first, you're going to see the biggest changes in cost, and those come from the connectorized and fixed down lead versions. Interestingly, I first ordered the fixed down lead option. I figured I could save a little bit of money on the headset, and I knew what down lead I wanted, so, why wouldn't I do that? Yeah, no, I'll tell you right now, don't do that. If you're going with the amps, you really should only be looking at the connectorized version. You have so many options with down leads that you could connect into any other team or different PTTs, or hell, just remove the down lead entirely. And you're really only getting the amps at like half utility if you get the fixed down lead version. So big thanks to Greg for steering me in the right direction and getting me set up with the connectorized version and all the cables I needed. All right, then when you order, the next option you're gonna see is for NFMI. When you're purchasing, you have to choose between the NFMI, or Near Field Magnetic Induction, enabled or disabled version. Again, it's just a little bit more for the NFMI enabled version. Even if you don't get the actual earpieces themselves, I highly recommend you get the NFMI version. The non-NFMI version saves you a little bit of money, but then you completely lose out on this awesome functionality. And we'll talk more about this as we go on, but the difference in noise reduction rating is staggering. It's like 22 with the headset and then 34 with the NFMI. So in the end, I got the amps with the connectorized down lead, NFMI enabled in the TAN 499, the mono binaural down lead cable, the rail mount kit. The rail mount kit is for later. And the last bit I snuck in was the OpsCore amp camo skins. There are a ton of color options on the website, but I just stuck with multicam. My wife absolutely installed those for me, but they look absolutely sick. All right, though, let's go unbox everything, see everything it comes with, and how it all actually works.
Okay, so here's some of the stuff we got. Here's our skins. Then we have our connectorized down lead cable, the mono binaural whatever. And then we have our actual rail mount kit, which we'll get to later when we connect everything up to the helmet. Just throw that over to the side for now, though. And then we have our actual amp headset. So let's go and get these out of the box. We need, oh, dang it, there's tape there. We need to get a knife. Okay, here we go. Got a knife. Now we just open everything up and put that away. And we can just open this up. And oh, here's our actual headset. So here's everything in the plastic wrap. And oh, wait, why am I looking at everything through the plastic? Let's open this up and get this out of here. Okay, getting this out. Wow, okay. That TAN 499 just looks awesome. I'm definitely impressed by that. We'll look at these in detail as we go, so let's just put these to the side for now. What's this? What is Cypoclemt? Oh, goodness. Oh, thankfully, yeah, this is a different language. Good news, we don't need to read any of that. And then what's this? Oh, here's the actual manual. This is a no-joke manual. Like, it goes over pretty much everything. It's very in-depth. We're not going to go through all that. Well, maybe the rail mount pieces. No, we're not going to go through all this. We'll just look at it all, but it's a good reference if you need this later. Now, what's this? Oh, this is more my speed. Here's a quick reference guide. This is exactly what I need. Like I said, though, we're going to go through how to do all this stuff, but if you're curious, the quick reference guide is pretty good about it all. I think we know all this, kind of how to do the NFMI earplugs if you're curious how those go in, and then how to use the 3D pass-through. Yeah, we're going to talk about all this, how to turn them off, hibernate, all that stuff. All right, cool. And then what's this last one? Oh, okay. It actually comes with 2 AAA batteries and then one of the covers.
Okay, so that's everything that comes in the box, but good grief, there's so much stuff to go over still. So let's deep dive into the actual amp headset itself. So the first thing I want to talk about is one of the coolest and most versatile bits, and that's the actual headband. The ear cups aren't locked in or clipped in any way. All you have to do is open up the bands and then the Velcro straps to free the cable, and then pop off one side of the ear cup to free it entirely from the headband. And then you can just swap from this range setup to like a helmet setup. And it really goes back to the idea we mentioned earlier of that civilian that's just expanding their setup, and then they have a headset that works as their gear advances further on. Going back to our headset though, putting the whole thing back together is just as easy. As you clip the ear cups back in, then you just hold the cable in the center to know where to Velcro it back into position. Just secure the other spots, then connect the clips and you're all back together. I do want to mention that the headband itself also has this really nice feel to it. This area is often overlooked and you can sometimes end up with headbands that look like, well, they look like trash. And it's really awesome to see that OpsCore spent the time to put the finish on something as simple as a headband. And if you're curious, you also have the option to just use the headband to fit it under your helmet, or you can just quick connect it to the rail setup like we mentioned earlier. Just make sure your actual helmet pads are set up so there's a space for the headband in the actual helmet itself if you're gonna run it that way. Moving on to the front of the headset, we see the entire headset is housed in a high-end plastic and sealed on the outside of the helmet. This sealing method actually translates into the headset being able to be immersed in water up to 1 meter for 1 hour. Unlike some of the other headsets that literally say you need to disassemble them if it starts to rain so that they can immediately start to dry out. Back at the headset though, the first thing we notice is that the microphone to do audio pass-through is recessed to keep it unobscured and hidden within the headset. And I like this because it's overall a little bit sleeker. It's one less thing to get caught on something or bump into and then just rip the actual cover off. On both the left and right side ear cups are also options to connect in a microphone or simply install the connector covers into this portion. To install your microphone, just remove the cover and slide in the microphone into the 2-prong hole and tighten down the set screw to lock it in place. One of the best parts of the amps is the ability to swap the mic to either side of the headset to actually accommodate for left-handed shooters. We got all these right-handed shooters in the tactical world who need ambi controls, but OpsCore is the only one giving me an ambi mic. I don't think you realize how huge this is. None of the other headsets let me swap mic positions, and this means left-handers end up with a microphone in the eye when they go to shoulder their weapon system. So from all the left-handers, thanks for making a left-handed system that isn't just around right-handed shooters with bad weapon manipulation. Having the left and right mic inputs also allows you to connect into the SOTR mic into the opposing earpiece, or just remove the mic setup and connect the SOTR mic instead. If you did the mic and SOTR, you could just pull the mic away, as the mic uses noise canceling to remove all the garbage sound in the area.
Wizard 4, Wizard 1. Yeah, what's the status on those chicken nuggets?
So then in that setup with the SOTR mic and the boom mic connected, you'd only be heard over the SOTR mic, even though both mics are actually listening. Back to our headset again though, as you can see, both the left and right cup also have a down lead connection to connect in whatever radio and setup you want to run. Now, things can actually get a little bit crazy here as you're actually seeing there's 2 down lead connections on the Connectorized version. Yet another reason to not get the fixed down lead version. This means you could connect up a single down lead to a single PTT like in our configuration, or run 2 down leads to 2 different PTTs that feed to 2 different radios, or run 1 PTT that runs to 2 radios. Or hell, you could just run 1 down lead down to a PTT and then have the other down lead connect into a vehicle. It can get absolutely crazy really fast. And I could probably do a whole video just on all the different types of connections, but if you get the fixed down lead version, you miss out on all of that. So again, Connectorized. To connect up one of the Connectorized cables, just remove the cover on the headset and push it up into position to lock it in place. Do not just pull down on the cable to remove it. It will not come out and you will destroy everything if you keep pulling on it. Instead, you pull down on the ring of the down lead to connect it from the headset, and then you just replace the cover. So you could just remove the down lead if you're just gonna go like shooting at the range and wanna use your nice headset, and then you're not stuck with this dangling bit like you have on every single other headset. Okay, back to our close-up of our amps. The left ear cup holds all the functions and controls with the NFMI button on the outside. We'll get to that, I promise, but it's huge. And also on the left, we have the on and off buttons being located on the bottom of the headset. The buttons themselves are a bit on the small side, but you can hold down the plus or minus button to turn on the headset. Oops, hold on. We need batteries first. To install the batteries, you just unscrew the rear battery compartment of the headset and install one AA battery into each ear cup. Near the end of the cap, there is a battery indicator to show the battery orientation. And OpsCore said they actually measured the battery life fairly accurately, unlike, the mileage you get on your car. So you should be getting right around that 120 hours with a AA lithium battery. Once you have the batteries installed, you can then press the volume up button to turn on the headset. And we actually forgot one more. The ear cups themselves. So what's interesting is that they actually didn't use gel, but actually use memory foam to get a better seal and protect the user. And this actually makes sense because we see something similar on the contacts, where they actually drop down from a 22 noise reduction rating to a 20 when you use the gel cups. So yeah, gel may be more comfy, but comfy isn't the name of the game. Okay, goodness, that's all the amps and its doodads. Let's go test all the function and then do some actual audio testing. As we mentioned, just hold the plus or minus button to turn the headset on, and increasing or decreasing the volume is easy as you just press the plus or minus button to change the volume. To turn off the headset, you simply press the plus and minus button together and hold it down until you hear the tone. Well, let's go test out the actual audio quality and then I'll let you listen, and then we'll go test the NFMI after that and see what exactly that does. Putting on the headset and turning them on, I instantly note that the sound quality of the amps is nothing short of fantastic. Being able to turn up the volume to have superhuman hearing with the ability to clearly pinpoint where a sound is originating from is a huge bonus from a tactical or game hunting standpoint. All right, so let's see if I can set up my lavalier so that you can hear it. But just be aware, it's going from the headset to my lavalier to the editing software to YouTube to your speakers. So you're not gonna hear what I hear, but let's try it.
All right, so I took the dead cat off, so you probably hear all the wind, but let's see how this goes. All right, so this is a test of our OpsCore amp audio quality. So you can see how it sounds through the headset. I'm curious how it sounds on your end. I guess we'll see when we go to actual editing. But here it is, different directional sound. You can kind of hear the headset moving away from me and moving towards me. You're probably gonna hear a lot of the wind and a lot of the trees and all that in the background though. So yeah, it sounds really, really, really good. Maybe not with all the background noise. I'm actually gonna try it one more time with the same dead cat that we've been using out here in the wind. So if you want to hear that sound, it's gonna be all the exact same audio sound you've been listening to. And then here's the sound of my voice coming through the OpsCore amps with the same dead cat and lavalier we've been using for the entire video. If you want to hear the quality of the sound of this headset, you probably are still picking up a lot of the ambient sound, and it's probably still pretty loud inside that headset, but it actually sounds really, really good.
And hopefully you can hear it at home, but the audio is really good. It doesn't like punch up the ambient in a weird way or make you sound like you're in a tunnel. It has a very, very accurate recreation of all the ambient sounds, and it just sounds really natural. And then we end this testing with the crescendo of the NFMI, but what's kind of frustrating is I can't really let you listen to how that sounds, but I think I can explain it to where you can get it. Now, I do a lot of shooting indoors, and I really always double up inside. But having a fancy pants headset gets to be a fairly moot point if you just have foam inserts jammed into your ears anyway. So the big question most people have, and the same one that I had, is, so then what does NFMI sound like? And I'll be honest, it sounds exactly the same, which is actually baffling. It sounds exactly like you're not wearing earplugs. Yeah, you can feel them in your ear, but you have the exact same amazing sound reproduction and being able to tell where the sound's coming from as just wearing the headset. And as a civilian, that gives you an absolute shit ton of usability. One single headset suddenly becomes the only thing you need, from cutting your grass, working a chainsaw, then throw in the NFI to communicate and perform maintenance around, oh hell, running aircraft engines. Yes, that one is huge and it's extremely useful. Or take that exact same headset into a full comms capable helmet mounted tactical setup. So yeah, you could say that I like the NFMI feature. So let's do some pros and cons though. And the first pro I want to talk about is being able to swap from that headband to helmet configuration really fast. I know a lot of other headsets also do this, but the amps have the easiest transition method by far. A lot of other helmet attachments can be an absolute pain to remove, and I'll be honest that I usually just leave them in whatever configuration they're in. The OpsCore amps make it simple and easy to change between helmet and headband whenever I want. And then I can just have them on a helmet mounted setup and then just quick swap it over to the headband if I want to go to the range and use the NFMI. All right, then the next pro that kind of flows within the same vein is having that mic and connectorized down lead. Here on the connection side, you see a lot of what other companies are not doing, and that's giving you options. The OpsCore amps have a mic that can be inserted on either side for left or right-handed orientation, or you can just remove the mic entirely if you're not using it. Then we have the huge bonus of all the down leads on the connectorized version. With so many different options, you can do just about any comm setup you can think of. And similar to our scenario before, we can just remove the down leads entirely and have a top-tier headset for a range day. It's the last time I'll say it, but if you don't get the connectorized version, you're really missing out on the modularity that the OpsCore amps are really designed around. All right, then the last pro I want to go over is definitely the NFMI. Being able to go from a 22 noise reduction rating to a 34 and lose zero hearing or spatial awareness is absolutely nuts. From a tactical perspective, this is huge, but even as a simple civilian, the NFMI makes your headset functional at indoor ranges or if you're working with higher caliber cartridges. I definitely see myself using the NFMI more because it's comfortable and significantly prevents hearing loss. All right, though, let's talk about some cons, and the first big ones are those tiny little plus and minus buttons. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with these little buttons, but the only way I was able to really press them was like with my fingernail. With a gloved hand, it's about impossible to get to these. It would be a nice improvement to see this entire area used for button control instead of just these tiny little circles. It becomes tricky too when you're trying to like press both buttons, when you're trying to turn them off and you're just trying to press them both with your fingernails. It can get a little bit tricky. All right, then the last con is that little strap that holds the cable on. It just seems out of place. With so many nice finishes put on everything, the odd rubberized strap to hold the comm cord to the headband just looks a little weird and like it shouldn't be there. It's certainly not a huge deal, and in fact, it really is nothing, but I did notice it, and I needed something negative to say. So, do I recommend it? And I absolutely do, and I know I normally aim you all towards the most bang for your buck, but this really gives you so much functionality as both a new or experienced shooter. The OpsCore amps just follow you as you grow. From a basic headset that gives you NFMI and a 32 noise reduction rating for those first few times when you're learning to shoot indoors, all the way to a full-on helmet-mounted, dual-comm, night vision-enabled helmet configuration. It's really one of those rare times that I'm gonna tell you, yeah, it's worth the cost. And that's pretty rare in the tactical community when most of these companies are just fighting for who can sell you the most overpriced hat. Well, I hope this video on the OpsCore amp was useful in your purchasing decisions. Stay tuned as we go into our next OpsCore video next month, where we actually go into the OpsCore SF helmet. And then I'll show you all the different pieces for that, and we'll finally put it all together. But I want to say thanks to all of our Patreon supporters and our YouTube Live members. You guys make all this possible, and I love you for it. And I want to say thanks to everyone that likes, comments, and subscribes. Comment down below what you think about those OpsCore amps and that NFMI-enabled version. All right, everyone, Walsh out. For giving us an option to move the microphone, and don't just have... Things can get a little bit crazy here as your option. How come I can't figure this out?